Hey guys, Bobby Bollinger here, and the NFL is this close. It's right on the horizon. I can almost taste it. Oh, it's almost here. And I look forward to it so much, but in the meantime, I've been watching every preseason game that I can, and I gotta say, was last year's rookie class just bad, or is this year's class just that incredible? Like quarterbacks alone, last year I thought Deshaun Kaiser was good. He was the best looking in preseason, and I mean technically he was the one that lasted longest in regular season, but it wasn't really that good a showing. So I didn't know, like, that was the first preseason I watched, so I thought that was what quarterbacks normally did. And with the exception of Lamar Jackson, even the guys I thought would be bad have played beyond what Deshaun Kaiser did in the regular season. Like Josh Rosen, when the O line doesn't screw up the snaps all the time, he looked really good. Baker Mayfield looked really good. Sam Darnold looked really good. And Josh Allen, when he isn't being swarmed by a bunch of tigers, looked pretty good. This is impressive to me, and I did not expect it at all. I hope I hope this is an incredible rookie class because outside of them, Denzel Ward has done a good job. Saquon Barkley, the type of runner he is, you have to see them in the NFL to actually know how good they'll be in the NFL. Like Christian McCaffrey, you don't get what you saw in college. What you saw in college was a guy who would juke someone out every single time and could completely make up for a lack of deficiency, well, for a lack of talent in the offensive line. In the NFL, you didn't get that. You didn't get terrible, I guess, but he's more of a gadget guy. Saquon Barkley, when you see him run in the NFL, you see intensity. That's just missing from McCaffrey. McCaffrey's fast, he's agile, I guess, but Saquon Barkley is clearly in a league of his own. And he makes up for that Giants offensive line as best he can. He can't be consistent because of that offensive line, but I like what I saw out of him for that one game and 4 runs. The the intensity is what I was looking for. The intensity is what I found. Now, enough about all this preseason stuff. Let's get down to this video. My predictions for each team, how what their win-loss record is going to be, who gets playoffs, who gets to the Super Bowl, who wins the Super Bowl, and who's going to just kind of have to hope it's another good quarterback class. We start this off in the AFC East with the Dolphins, and have you ever seen a roster so totally devoid of all star power? Like, good God. They got rid of Mike Pouncey, who, when actually healthy, is good. They got rid of Jay Ajayi, who was pretty good. They say Kenyon Drake is better, but if he was better, why didn't you start him? And they got rid of Ndamukong Suh. They got rid of Jarvis Landry. Like, the only good thing to say about their offseason is that Ryan Tannehill is back, and that's not that big of a gain, especially without Jarvis Landry. Like, what is Ryan Tannehill without Jarvis Landry? It's an excellent question, and we don't know, but I'd be willing to bet it's not good. The Dolphins, for me, are a 1-15 team. Just the utter lack of star power and the utter lack of just overall quality at their positions. It's clear they're trying to make a run for a high draft pick. Next up is the Jets. Now, technically they are in the same boat as the Dolphins in that whose name do you know from them? Like, there's Sam Darnold, maybe you know Josh McCown. I mean, everyone knew Teddy Bridgewater, but he's gone now. So, what is the difference for me between the Jets and the Dolphins is that last year the Jets took their no-name team and did okay. Definitely not what you want to see your team doing, but okay. And there's really no loss for them. So I have them doing better, despite how they're technically similar to the Dolphins. I have the Jets going 4-12. Still in a pretty good position for draft picks, but it's not the greatest. And also in the AFC East, you'll notice that it's just a little bit weak. Are the Buffalo Bills at 2-14. Now, this is a team that could completely defy what I put up here. Like, there are teams here that I think they're going to go like this, but they could make the playoffs. And the Bills are one of those teams. Now, starting off on the Bills' problems, they got rid of Tyrod Taylor for reasons I don't actually know. Like, the dude wasn't expensive. He wasn't going to be looking for a big or long contract. You could still get your guy without him, but whatever. So the quarterback room is weaker than it should have been. And at receiver, they have approximately nothing. Like, I don't even know any receivers for the Bills. Last year, their best receiver was their running back, who might not be available the whole season. Let's leave it at that. Speaking of their running back, though, he's going to have a real hard time doing anything. Because that offensive line, like, they lost like 2 pieces, but man, what a 2 pieces to lose. Richie Incognito left, probably for the better, and they traded one of their guys to the Bengals. And it is harsh looking at that offensive line's performance. Like, I saw what they did against the Bengals in preseason in what's supposed to be the most real game-like week. And good God, it was bad. It was really bad. Like, you don't fake how bad that was. It was just terrible. I felt sorry for Josh Allen, even though I didn't think he was going to be much. Like, I just kept thinking, I don't know how much he can be because he doesn't have a chance to be anything. He's this guy with a super strong arm who's supposed to be able to throw it from one end zone into the stands on the other side of the freaking stadium. And he can't throw deep because there's no O-line to protect him. There's no time. And it's just the worst fit they could have taken. Like, out of all the guys, when you know you won't have an offensive line, you take the guy who's going to like the deep ball the most. The one that needs protection the most. I don't get what the Bills are going for. I assume they want a high draft pick, and you know what? At 2-14, they're probably going to get it. Now, why do I think that they can be a playoff team, though? I said they're 2-14. Well, the reason is the defense is really good. Like, I feel bad giving them a 2-14 because I know that defense is going to steal games. I'm almost certain they're going to surpass 2-14, and I only put it at 2-14 because the offense looks absolutely 100% worthless. So, I know they're going to do better, but I can't in good conscience say they're going to beat a third team. And, as usual, the benefactor of a weak AFC East is the Patriots. Except this year, they might have problems. I know it's trendy to predict the end of the Patriots dynasty. It's kind of a cliche, but it's going to have to be true eventually, and this looks like a pretty good year for it to be true. I mean, for one, the defense, what moves has it made besides get rid of people? Nothing. So we're looking at the same defense from last year, minus their longtime defensive coordinator. It's just not a recipe for a good defense, and that's kind of surprising for the Patriots. Like, what is Tom Brady without good defense? That'd be like Peyton Manning with a good team. It's weird. It doesn't happen. Ugh. But they had that last year, and they got to the Super Bowl, nearly won the thing. Who's to say they can't go back? Well, they have a new problem, and that's the offensive tackle position. They lost 2 of those guys. They lost their right tackle, they lost their left tackle, so both their starting tackles are gone. Both of the guys most responsible for keeping Brady upright, gone. They gone. And who's to replace them? Well, they didn't make any significant trades or signings to replace them. And they only made one real draft day pick to fix the hole. And it was looking okay. Like, teams lose their tackles, they can get past it. It's only one guy they have to replace, and then Isaiah Wynn, I believe it was, gets injured and is out for the season. So they're back to nothing at tackle, absolutely nothing. And I can't help but think that, yeah, this is going to come back to bite them. They overcommitted to their offense so hard that I guess they just forgot about the defense, is my only guess. Ugh. I mean, the Patriots are 10-6, though, even with that, because, well, they got 6 free wins from their division. Kind of hard not to be 10-6 then. Anyway, moving on from that trash pile. Oh, great. Well, it's not much better over here, but at least there's something. First of all, we have the Chiefs going 9-7. Like, this isn't bad. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be bad. But did they improve? It's kind of hard to say they improved. Like, they lost their best cornerback. And that can't be good for your defense. It just can't. So their defense, I suspect, is going to take a little bit of a drop. And it wasn't good last year, so it can't afford a drop. And offensively, Patrick Mahomes is unproven. Let's face it, he played in one completely meaningless game against the Broncos, and that was it. So, we don't know if he's going to be able to get it done. He has the weapons to get it done, but there's just question marks on this team. Now, it's a good team, but those question marks, in addition to a loss of their offensive coordinator, I can only give them a 9-7, and little spoiler alert for the rest of this video, that's not good enough for the playoffs. A team that is good enough for the playoffs, though, is the Chargers. And I have a little question for you guys. Is a dark horse pick a dark horse pick if everyone says it's the dark horse pick? Like, dark horse picks are the ones that nobody's talking about. Nobody sees this coming, and everyone sees the Chargers coming. Everyone says they're the team. They're the ones who can get back into the playoffs, and to me, that's not a dark horse. A dark horse is someone like the Titans, somehow, who made it last year, have improved, actually, but nobody says anything about them. Or it's a team like the Bengals, who still have a lot of solid players and just have to improve the O-line. Those are the kind of teams that I think are actually dark horses, not the Chargers or 49ers. Now, that's not to say there's no reason to be hyped about the Chargers. They got a lot of good stuff going on. Secondary, great. Pass rush, great. Quarterback, great. Receivers, great. Offensive line, defensive line, yeah, that's going to be the main problem for this team. They can't run very well, which they're not trying to run, so that's not a problem, but they can't stop the run still. Like, I haven't seen anything that makes me think, yeah, they can stop the run now. No, they can't stop the run. And that's just going to kill them. No matter how good your secondary is, no matter how good of a pass rusher you are, if you can't stop the run, you're just going to get grinded to death. It's inevitable. The Chargers, I have them going 11-5 because, yes, they have those glaring holes, but they were this close to the playoffs last year, and they did indeed get better. And their division actually got a little weaker, probably, so they should get to the playoffs. Now, the Broncos are another team that could really just defy my expectations for them, because it's just such a weird team. You don't know exactly what's going to happen with it. I have it going 3-13 off of an offense that just dies. The defense might be better, but the offense just died. And even the defense, without Aqib Talib, might not even be better. Now, offensively, did they make an upgrade at quarterback? Maybe. It's kind of hard to tell. But we do know that Casey Keenum has been in this exact situation before. A highly defensive team that just doesn't have too much offense. He inherits, and he takes it to the championship game. Except with the Broncos, it's just the tiniest bit different. The Vikings, for one, had more receiver options for him. The Broncos have two solid receivers, but the Vikings had like 3 or 4. So advantage to Vikings there. The Vikings' O-line was a little bit better. It's still the weakness of the team, but it was a little bit better. And defensively, the Vikings simply were more complete. Best defense last year. So the Vikings were the better situation. Case Keenum's got into a worse situation, and it's hard to see him doing as well. When last year was his only good year, and quite frankly, it didn't look real. I think the bigger problem for the Broncos, though, is that they can't even run the ball anymore. Like last year, they had CJ Anderson, and in spite of that O-line, he averaged above 4 yards a carry, which is actually pretty impressive. And CJ Anderson's gone now. He went to the Panthers, where he's not going to be utilized properly because McCaffrey will start. But either way, the Broncos lost a huge part of their offense because a defensive team needs to run the ball. Like, I can't think of a single defensive team that has been also pass-oriented. It just doesn't work out. It hasn't worked out before, and it's probably not going to work out in the future. And it's certainly not working out now. So the Broncos, like the Bills, I just can't see the offense doing enough. Though if it does, you might see a Super Bowl. Final team from this AFC North, West, is the Raiders. Like, should we even make predictions on this team? We know nothing about it. The preseason has gone by. We know nothing. Khalil Mack has not shown up, so we don't even know how good he is. We don't know the offensive system Gruden's going for. I mean, we assume it's going to be more grindy-oriented, but we don't know. We don't know what the defense is like. We don't know what the offense is like. Are they going to run? Are they going to pass? Are they going to blitz a lot? Are they going to just let spread out? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? We don't know anything about this Raiders team. I give them a 5-11 win-loss, but this is a team that could go winless, or it could win the Super Bowl. Right now, we just don't know. Now, moving on to the AFC North, I was talking about my dark horse picks, also called sleeper picks. And my pick for sleeper is indeed an actual sleeper pick, don't worry. It is the Bengals. Don't worry, it ain't the Browns. It's the Bengals. One thing to know about the Bengals is intense pressure. They are extremely good at getting pressure on the quarterback. It was one of the few good points of last season. They also have AJ Green as a receiver. They have John Ross. And he didn't do much last year, but they seem to be using him more this year. And he's not looking bad. He definitely doesn't look consistent. But considering the pressure AJ Green's going to take off of him, he can work out. I mean, someone with that kind of speed doesn't do nothing. He's always doing something. He spreads that offense out, the defense out, just a little bit, at least. And it makes life so much easier for everyone else. But we kind of had that last year, and it didn't work out. The difference between last year and this year for the Bengals is offensive line. First of all, they drafted a new center. They got, I think it was a new tackle from the Bills. They got some good stuff for their offensive line. But also, they got a new offensive line coach. And I don't remember his name, but I do know that about this time last year, he was working with the Dallas Cowboys as their offensive line trainer. So, he might be good. And from what I've seen, the Bengals' offensive line is fine. I don't think it's a great offensive line yet, but it's certainly at the point where Andy Dalton can properly utilize A.J. Green and even John Ross. And to the point where the running game can exist. It's definitely not great from what I've seen, but it will exist. And that's really all the Bengals need. I have the Bengals going 12-4, winning their division, and well, we'll see how they do in the playoffs. Also in the AFC North, and another team that can definitely blow past my expectations, are the Ravens. I have them at 6-10, but they can definitely go to the Super Bowl. The defense is solid. Baltimore has always had good defense. Like, literally always been a good defense. The only issues it ever had were offensively. And last year, they found a running back they think they can use. And, sure, give him a chance. Maybe he can do well. The main issue offensively last year was that they could not throw the ball. And some of that's on Joe Flacco, some of that's on the receivers. But this year, they got Crabtree, who isn't going to be bad, which is all the Ravens need on offense, is not bad. And they also got Hayden Hurst, who looks very much like a capable tight end. So those two guys really can give Joe Flacco the receiving core he needs. Definitely not the one he wants. You can get much better receivers and tight ends. But this is the receiving core the Ravens need. This is the good enough offense, which is all they really have to win with their defense. If Joe Flacco defies expectations and does a good job, yeah, the Ravens can definitely go places. And probably the disappointment of the AFC North is the Steelers, who wind up going 9-7 off of increased division strength. Now, why do I have them going so low when everyone has them winning this division? The reason has to be that I don't trust how well they're going to be able to start. And I really don't trust their defense. See, at the beginning of last year, they were one of the best defenses. Ryan Shazier got hurt, and they became below average instantly. Like, the next game is when the Ravens found that running back that they think can be good and their future running back. And he just gassed the Steelers time after time. So it seems that without Ryan Shazier, or a good linebacker in his position, the Steelers aren't a good defense. Like, they talk about the one guy that makes this defense work. And it seems like they found the one guy, and now he's gone. And, it wouldn't have been too big a deal. I wouldn't have knocked them too much. But they didn't do anything to replace Ryan Shazier. Like, nothing. Nothing significant whatsoever. So I can't say that their defense is going to be anything better than below average, which is not going to cut it anymore. As good as their offense can be, it's not going to get above 9-7 without the defense stepping up. Well, last team of the AFC North, the Browns. I have them going 7-9. They could actually make the playoffs. I mean, the first thing that struck me in preseason play was this defense. Like, the most points they've given up as of their third game is 19 to the Bills, and when the most you give up is 19 points, you're doing pretty good. Even if you did lose, your defense is doing pretty good. The other one, they gave up only 10 points. Next game, the most NFL-like game, supposedly, nothing. Nothing was scored on them. And that's after losing a first-round pick early on. So I can see this defense being absolutely great, and it doesn't surprise me too much. I mean, this is the run defense that was 7th last year, even though the Browns were behind so often and other teams were incentivized to run. Like, the Browns have a better defense than that 7th ranked run defense. And that's kind of incredible that you can be 7th on a list of 32 teams and be underrated. If they just boosted up that pass defense a little, they'd be a great defense, and seems like they boosted up that pass defense a little. Now, offensively, it seems like they're leaning on the run game, and that's a pretty good thing to lean on right about now, because whether it's Carlos Hyde, I'm sorry, Brown fans, I don't know that other guy who was here before Hyde and Chubb, but whoever he was, even, Bradley Chubb, who has really slimmed down since college. I was surprised, like, whoa, that's Chubb? He was actually chubby in college. He slimmed down. He's good. Yeah, every single one of them breaks off big runs, even though Bradley Chubb is a power back who shouldn't be doing that. They always seem to break off big runs, a lot of the times multiple big runs, even with limited opportunities. So the Browns' run game should be very solid, because it's not just breaking off the big things, they're also good enough in the shorter, consistent running to get there. So the Browns' run game should be really, really good this year. The big question mark is the passing game, and I feel like we haven't really seen it yet. Like, not much of Jarvis Landry has been exposed to us. His connection with Tyrod Taylor, or Tyrod Taylor, whichever, we don't really know, and they haven't had Josh Gordon yet. We know the guy can be good. Will he be good? We don't know, but he looked pretty good last year when he did finally get onto the field. So, with Josh Gordon coming back, with Antonio Callaway looking good, with David Njoku actually looking really good, you're looking at the Browns having the weapons for a good passing game, on top of a good running game, on top of what looks like an elite defense. So they have the tools to get to the Super Bowl, honestly. The issue, of course, is the offensive line. It's not playing up to its caliber. It has to be helping that run game, but it's not pass protecting like it should. It really is not. And that's caused some subpar numbers from the quarterbacks. Like, Baker Mayfield has been given no time in the pocket. He's made the most of it, though. And I really like what he showed in the preseason more than any other quarterback. But I want to see him with a clean pocket. Same for Tyrod Taylor. He was less limited by it. His pocket wasn't as muddled up, but it was still bad. So, the Browns, I think offensive line pass protecting, and therefore lack of scoring points is going to limit how good they can be, despite having all the tools for success. I didn't realize how long this video was going to be. Oh dear, I'm not halfway through. Next up is the AFC South and the Colts. Now, we got Andrew Luck back, and he looks like Andrew Luck. Oh, I thought there was going to be a good deal of rust, but he looks almost just about like normal Andrew Luck. And him and T.Y. Hilton are going to connect, and Eric Ebron suddenly has good hands that he didn't have with the Lions. I don't know what's going on with Detroit, but whatever, we'll take it. I'm very happy about Eric Ebron's quality so far. Hopefully it can translate. And I have them going 4-12 though, because I watched our defense against the 49ers. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. Like, thankfully, we did good in the end zone, but they got to the end zone a lot. And I know there are teams that are going to punish the crap out of us. It's going to be an ugly, ugly time for the defense. But we got Andrew Luck. We got T.Y. Hilton. We even got Eric Ebron. Though we no longer have Frank Gore. And we didn't really replace him. So we don't have tackles that are worth anything. At least that weren't injured at the time I watched. And that's really limiting how our run game can get going, even with good runners. And we don't have good runners. Like, not even good pass-catching, gadget-type runners. Like, we have nothing. So I can't see us doing great. But Andrew Luck has taken talentless teams to the AFC Championship game. Maybe he can do it again. Please do it again. It's been too long. Next up is a team everyone loves, but I have a weird take on these guys, the Texans. I have them going 9-7. See, a healthy Texans team can beat anyone, is quite possibly the best team in the league. But that's the catch. A healthy Texans team. You got Deshaun Watson. Running quarterback tends to get injured. J.J. Watt. When was the last time he even completed half a season? Like, I know the guy's an icon. I love how he plays, and I know he can be the guy. Like, he is the face of the Texans, even though they have a great quarterback and great wide receiver. He's the face of the Texans. But I don't know if he can stay healthy. It's been a long time, hasn't it? You have Whitney Merciless coming off of an injury, which I think he can come back just fine. There's not too much history behind him. And they do have a new addition, which really does set them into the best team for me when healthy, Tyrann Mathieu, who also has an injury history. So this is a great team. It'll have a great start, but by the time the dust settles on week 6, I think both Watt and Watson are gonna be down, and then your season's just done because you don't have anything at backup quarterback. You just don't have the tools for it. Which is why they're 9-7. They start off like 5-2, but things don't go well. after they lose Watson and Watt, and possibly Merciless, and possibly Tyrann Mathieu. But all your good players, basically. Next up in the South, the team that got to the playoffs last year, the Titans. Nobody talks about the Titans. I even give them a 7-9. I just wonder why they can't get to the playoffs, according to people. Like, they improved. They were there last year. What's the issue? I guess the issue is strength of schedule or something. They can definitely overcome. They can definitely do better. I have them at 7-9 just because that schedule. And multiple questions on their team, like, is the passing game ever going to be good? Are they ever going to defend a pass? And finally, in the AFC South and the AFC, the Jacksonville Jaguars going 14-2. And if you're keeping count of this, disclaimer, these numbers probably won't add up. I didn't keep track of everything at all times, so there's going to be a disparity. The Jaguars go 14-2, and this is the biggest risk I am taking here. The Jaguars going 14-2, they have the defense for it. They upgraded their guards so they can run the ball even better, and they were doing a pretty good job already. But good God, Blake Bortles, it's up to you, my dude. You are the difference between 8-8 and 14-2. You play competently, 14-2. You play like Blake Bortles, 8-8. I'm trusting that he will play competently. That's a hell of an assumption, hell of a hope, hell of a dream. But at least, and his receiving core was a little bit diminished this year, but at least he still has Marquise Lee, so that's something. Excuse me? Yeah? Really? Okay. That's good to know. Who are you? They never tell me who they are. Anyway, whoever it is, a birdie just called and said that Marquise Lee's gone. So instead of Blake Bortles having Marquise Lee and nobody else, Blake Bortles has nobody. I'm gonna stick with 14-2. Oh, God. The Jaguars are a very, very tenuous team right now. Anyway, moving on to the NFC, where things are supposedly stronger, and yeah, they're stronger. Super Bowl champion Eagles. I have them going 13-3. Very strong team. Just still well-rounded. Barely lost anything. And Carson Wentz is coming back. They have to be a good team. Moving on. Giants. 6-10. Yeah, I said 6-10 after praising the crap out of Saquon Barkley. Because that offensive line, you want to have an offensive team. You gotta have an offensive line. Like, I know I say you want a defensive team, you gotta have an offensive line too, so your running game can get going, but yeah, you just need an offensive line, and the Giants don't have it. So Saquon Barkley can't be consistent. The deep ball's pretty much gone from your playbook. You're like the Patriots. Except not as experienced with that. because you're still going to try the deep ball and you're going to get sacked because, of course, you're going to get sacked. Your offensive line is terrible. Why did you not know this heading into the season? You had months of practice to figure that out. I'm sorry, I'm getting flashbacks of last season. Moving on. Cowboys, 7-9. I've lost quite a bit of respect for Dak Prescott. And Son Lee, I used to be neutral on. I'm not neutral anymore. Because Dez Bryant kind of blew up after a really crappy comment from one of the Cowboys coaches about him, saying everything last season was his fault. When anyone watching knows he wasn't that bad. And he let out a comment that said, no, your terrible, predictable play calling is what cost us this season, which he's right. And then he said something about Son Lee, guy who I thought was my brother, helped to get me kicked out. And that just struck me as weird, because, like, that's not something you make up. That's a weird thing to just say. So it struck me as, like, how can this not be true? And I wanted to give Son Lee a fair chance, so I looked at his reaction for it on video, and I found it, and the guy was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing like that ever happened. If I don't look you in the eyes, I don't have to look concerned that I'm lying. Like, the guy could not maintain eye contact at all, and I was just thinking, dude, how more obvious could you be? Okay, you could be Trump, but how much more obvious could you be? It was just like, he did it. Like, it doesn't matter what he was accused of. If you're looking like that, you did it. You're guilty. I mean, good God. Something is very wrong in the Cowboys organization, and it's going to bite them. In fact, it might bite them now, because one of their offensive linemen is injured. One has his immune system attacking his nerves, so he's out for, the disease says, about 4 months. To get back to football form, like another month, so he's gone for the season. Good thing they gave him a ton of money. Zeke's back. That's good. But I can't say I trust the Cowboys as a person or to succeed. Moving on. Redskins. I don't know why I have them ranked as a punching bag. Like, I have them going 3-13, but I don't exactly know why. Like, they downgraded a quarterback, I think, but even if they did, it's not by much. And they weren't a terrible team. They don't have an excessively difficult schedule. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I look at these matchups and I think, Redskins lose. Redskins lose. Redskins lose. Oh, wait, that's the Dolphins. Oh, wait, that's the Bills. Oh, wait, that's the Buccaneers. Redskins lose. Like, I don't know why I think they're a punching bag. I just get this weird, inexplicable feeling. And Adrian Peterson is back and looks like he's back to regular form, but I don't know. Like, it's weird because we know the Redskins, and I just don't know why I can't see them doing well. It's probably the most mysterious thing to me. Like, why? Why do you feel this way about Redskins? I don't get it, but enough of that division. Let's get to a cool one. 49ers, second only to Chargers in the sleeper picks category. And it's not without good reason. Like, I have them going 9-7 and only somewhat disappointing people. And people say they're Super Bowl contenders. I say they're not. I say they're an incomplete team. But I don't know why they're an incomplete team. Like, their offensive line isn't bad. Quarterback's good. Secondary works. Defensive line works. Running back's alright. Receivers are good. Like, again, I don't know why I think they're not an incomplete team. I think they're a good quality team. I have them going 9-7. But I can't explain why they're just not playoff ready. Something just tells me that. I don't know. Next up is the Cardinals, who could definitely defy my expectations. Like, last year, they were considered a very weak team, and they had no offense whatsoever, but they were 8-8. That's not a bad record. That's not a bad team. Like, the Cardinals did surprisingly well, and there's no explanation for it. Now, they got rid of Tyrann Mathieu, which sucks for their defense, but they got David Johnson back. Yay! And instead of nobody at quarterback, they have Sam Bradford or Josh Rosen. That's good. I'd say overall the Cardinals are better, but because the talent they're going up against is getting better, they just can't make up the difference and go 5-11. Now, if the defense stays alive without Tyrann Mathieu, and the offense just suddenly explodes in spite of the offensive line, yeah, this can be an incredible team. Until then, 5-11. Moving on to the team everyone expects to take a serious drop in quality, the Seahawks. I have them going a measly 9-7, which is not bad at all. I think what a lot of people are thinking here is that the Legion of Boom is gone, the defense is now going to suck. But in reality, a lot of the Legion of Boom was actually not there last year through injuries and whatnot. And furthermore, this is Pete Carroll's thing. His thing is defense. He's not going to let this defense get bad. He might not be able to get it to a great level. It certainly is going to take a hit after losing those guys. But it shouldn't be bad. It should be mediocre at worst. Maybe below average. And Russell Wilson can make up for that. So I have the Seahawks going 9-7. They shouldn't be terrible, but it's not enough for playoffs, guys. You're in the NFC. And the team that takes things away from the Seahawks and 49ers, the Rams. Good God. How many superstars are on this team? I mean, you got Ndamukong Suh, Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, Aaron Donald. Like, on offense, Brandon Cooks, Todd Gurley, maybe Jared Goff. Like, that's a lot of superstars. Like, these are considered, minus Jared Goff, some of the best in their positions, and Jared Goff is a rising star. So this team looks like it should not lose at all. Now, obviously, longevity is an issue. They've paid Todd Gurley big bucks. They've paid Brandon Cooks big bucks. They're going to be paying Jared Goff big bucks eventually. And it seems like they're closing in on a contract with Aaron Donald. Now, 4 superstars with superstar pay on one team. Yeah, right. That's not going to last. One of these 3, not Jared Goff, is going to get traded away. Like, by the end of the season. I would presume it to be Aaron Donald. I'm not entirely certain, though. But for this season, they got a super team, and they're going 13-3, only losing games because the top teams from last year are the top teams this year, and they're all taking each other on and messing with each other's records. Speaking of epic teams, the Vikings, also going 13-3. Like, they were so good last year with Case Keenum, the guy who was terrible every other year of his career. Suddenly, looks okay. Now you throw in Kirk Cousins instead, and you get Dalvin Cook back. Yeah, you can definitely have a really good team. The one weakness of this Vikings team is the O-line. I think you pit it up against a really good defensive line, the team's going to crumble as a whole, eventually. Which is its flaw, but every team has flaws. The Rams don't have linebackers. The Vikings don't have offensive line. Moving on. The Bears. Like, of all the teams, this is second to the Raiders for I don't know what they're doing, what's going to happen with them. And I have them getting the same record, 5-11. The Bears, on defense, we know what they're going to be, which is why they're less mysterious than the Raiders. But offensively, we know nothing. Like, they haven't really shown us Mitch Trubisky with his receivers. They haven't shown us Jordan Howard. We haven't even seen their second-string running back, Tariq Cohen. Like, what are they doing with him? When we don't even see a second-stringer, you know they're hiding things. And I'm just curious to see what Matt Nagy is hiding. I want to know. That said, we don't know what they've got. So we can't crown them as kings yet, and we can't call them crap. So I just kind of gotta take a middle of the road with 5-11. Until we see something, we don't know anything. And here comes a team that is all quarterback and nothing else. And in a weak division, that'll work. The Colts will tell you all about that. But once things get going again and the other team start getting better, it's not good for you. Because your quarterback can only take you so far, and Aaron Rodgers can only get the Packers to 10-6, which in the NFC, it's not good enough. The Packers miss out on the playoffs. They go 10-6, which is still good, but they're going to need more star power than this. Like, this team is Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers only. I think they have a good thing with Equanimeous St. Brown, but they don't seem willing to make changes at receiver. They just don't use receivers properly. Which is really weird when your only good thing is a quarterback. You'd think you might want to get that going. But whatever. Aaron Rodgers is good enough for a 10-6. The final team in the division, the Lions. Oh look, another team with nothing but quarterback. Except this quarterback, not quite so good. And strength of schedule, a lot tougher. Leading the Lions to be 4-12, which I'll admit might be a little low for them. It's just, what did they do? They lost a tight end, Eric Ebron, which they don't care because he dropped balls. Apparently he got better or something with the Colts. I don't know. Hopefully he got better. But the Lions miss out on that. O-line's still not good. D-line's still not good. At least not good enough. Secondary has... I don't think anyone even talks about the Lions secondary. So, what do they got going for him again? Oh, right, Matthew Stafford. It'll only get you so far. Just ask the Colts now. Okay. Final division, AFC South, starting off with the Falcons. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. 14-2. In my mind, they are the best team right now. They got Calvin Ridley in the first round. Somehow he was not the first receiver taken. And the Falcons, of all teams, got him. So now at receiver, the Falcons have everyone. Like, every single receiver they have, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, are legitimate number ones on other NFL teams. That's how stacked the Falcons are at receiver now because of Calvin Ridley. And it is going to be impossible to defend. I expect a really, really good offense this year. And on the defensive side of things, they needed a corner. They got a steal in Isaiah Oliver. Now, he's not perfect, but he can be good enough. He can definitely be good enough, and he should catapult these Falcons to exactly what they're going to achieve. Next team in this extremely strong NFC South, someone's got to suck, and they got to suck hard. And they who suck are the Buccaneers. 1-15, 0 wins in their division. Is that a surprise? It's just, they got something good at an edge rusher. They got a good defensive tackle once he's healthy. They're better than last year, but the matchups just say Buccaneers lose over and over and over. And if it weren't for facing, like, I think it was the Dolphins, they'd be winless. Strength of schedule, I guess, just messes with them. Next team, the Saints. Now, looking back on things, I think the Saints kind of overperformed. Now, they were definitely a good team, and they're a little bit better this year. But I think last year they did a little better than they should have. This year they get a reality check, but when your reality check is 10-6, you're pretty good. So the Saints have a fairly happy time. They get 10-6, and they kind of work with it. Oh yeah, speaking of which, don't you just feel for Teddy Bridgewater? First, he's on a Jets team that is never going to use him. Then he gets his chance. He's traded. He can finally be the starter. He can make great things happen and make a name for himself once more, get his value up, and actually sign a decent contract for once in his life. Saints, you're sitting behind Drew Brees. Man, I want to do something. Oh, I feel for Bridgewater. He's got like 2, 3, maybe more years of just doing nothing. Because everyone talks about Drew Brees retiring soon. Drew Brees is younger than Tom Brady, guys. And the final team in the NFL, the Panthers. I have them going 12-4. I think they've just got the better schedule than the Saints. I don't think they're necessarily better than the Saints, but I can see them getting some good things done. Okay. Ugh. Thank you, piece of paper. You've been very good at reminding me what I'm supposed to do and which teams I'm supposed to talk about. There's text on the back of you. Right. Playoffs. Oh my god. I was propping up the paper against my computer screen so I didn't see the time. This thing is going to take forever to load on YouTube. Not to mention I think you guys can probably... Oh my god, you can. You can see the passage of time through the window. The video starts out with this blue light shining through like I'm getting abducted by aliens or something, and now it's gone because it's night and there's no light shining through. Moving on, let's finish this off, get to the playoffs. I'm going to blast through. AFC, first place, Jaguars second, Bengals third, Chargers fourth, Patriots fifth, Texans sixth, Steelers. First game for them, Chargers versus Steelers. Chargers fans, I'm sorry, the Steelers are a more complete team. They're more experienced here. They've got your number. Patriots against Texans. Remember when I said the Texans could beat anyone when they were healthy? Well, remember Watt and Watson are down by now, possibly Merciless and Tyrann Mathieu. So, it would have to be the upset of the century. Patriots win. Next week, Jaguars versus Steelers. Jaguars victory. Barring Blake Bortles being Blake Bortles. Next game, Bengals versus Patriots. Because of the newfound holes on the Patriots and the Bengals' proficiency for exploiting exactly that hole, the Bengals take this and get their first playoff victory in this century. I think that would actually be the first playoff victory of the century. Holy crap. And the AFC Championship, Jaguars versus Bengals. It's the battle of the kitty cats to see who is the top jungle master. And it's the Jaguars. I love the Bengals as a pick, but they don't have the ability to run the ball very well. They won't have any ability against the Jaguars. The Jaguars can limit A.J. Green and John Ross enough. I don't see the Bengals winning that. So, Jaguars, you're going to the Super Bowl. In the NFC, Falcons, Rams, Vikings, Eagles, Panthers, Saints. Vikings versus Saints. I'm giving that to the Vikings. I know the Saints want this so bad. So bad. But their quarterback went from Case Keenum to Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry. Eagles versus Panthers. Well, Panthers, you aren't as good as the Saints. And the Eagles are defending champions. I'm going to have to give this to the Eagles. Next week, Falcons versus Eagles. I said the Falcons were the best team in the NFC. They are. They win this. They beat the Eagles, knock them out. Falcons get revenge. Falcons moving on to NFC Championship. Rams versus Vikings. Rams did not assemble the super team for nothing. They did not assemble the super team for nothing. They will beat the Vikings. Then it's Falcons versus Rams in the NFC Championship game. And oh my god, the stars are here tonight. Star against Star, Talib against Jones, Peters against Calvin Ridley, or whoever this either second stringer is. It doesn't matter. There are stars everywhere tonight, and the Falcons win. Go on to the Super Bowl. They face the Jaguars in the Falcons Stadium. Their stadium, first time in Super Bowl history, and they pull off the win because they are the more complete team. Their quarterback isn't an idiot. They have the better offensive line. They have the better receivers. They have a great running game. They have the good defense. It's not as good as the Jaguars, but it's good enough to make them keep this win. Falcons will be Super Bowl champions. And this video is over. Thank the Lord.